Give us a specific example, if possible, of an outstanding value proposition.
The value proposition. So the value proposition is important to communicate, to get into the right interview to begin with. So that's the approach that I'm going to take. How are you communicating that value proposition to get in the door? Now, 85% of professionals that make over 250K are going to get their next job through their network. Okay, until you get to 7 figures, and then it's pretty much 100%. Now, close to 100%. And by the way, just so you know, we put network recruiters in the network category. So the important thing is how are you communicating your value proposition to the network? Maybe it's a posting, maybe it is, so it has to be communicated in the value prop in the resume. But here's the issue with the value proposition. It needs to be descriptive to the problem that you solve so that I can recognize that in my brain to make the connection. The problem you solve, the solution you create. Give me an example. I used to belong to a networking group for financial executives. And every month we would have a meeting and everybody would stand up and 95% would say, hi, I'm a CFO and I'm in transition. Okay. Some of them would outline that with a major accomplishment, which didn't do me any good in making the connection. When somebody gets up and is descriptive about the problem they solve, so not the person that gets up and says, I help companies grow. Or, come on, can you be a little bit more descriptive than that? Because I was joking around with one person one day and he's like, I help mid-sized companies grow. Being more specific will actually get you more attention than being broad. Most people are afraid to be broad, or they're afraid to be specific about communicating their impact, the problem they solve, because they're afraid it's going to screen somebody out, or then it won't attract this, and I want to cast a wide net. Okay, you are now past the level where wide net does you any good. Pulling up a bunch of junk and then tap dancing around whatever it is you think they're looking for isn't really the strategy at your level. What you want to know is, what's my bait? You want to know what fish like that bait, and where those fish swim. And then you go swim in the water with you go drop the bait in the water with the fish that want that bait. And all of a sudden you will have the competitive advantage. And communicating a value proposition is very descriptive, not generic.
Are many executives or people in general afraid to go descriptive because they tell themselves, well, I'm going to be talking for too long. No one wants to hear what I have to say. My whole life story is going to be on the table. Is that part of what holds people back from essentially just saying the most generic, brief thing they could think of to get out?
They feel like they're bragging, Tony. They feel like they're bragging. And they don't want to brag. The other thing too, that'll make this even easier. We always tell individuals we're working with, you know how we were taught our whole life to do feature, benefit, tell them the feature and how it benefits somebody. With executives, we always flip that over. When you're in an interview, start with the benefit. You're not going to have to do this because I've done this. You're not. So again, the people that are interviewing you have the what's in it for me on their forehead too. They want to know, are they going to get the biggest return on their investment if they hire you? So when you're interviewing with them, always think, how is the company going to benefit by hiring me, and then back it into a feature. Back it into a feature. So start with benefits, flip that over. You obviously, I'm not going to get any training in this because I've got 7 years of doing exactly this. I'm going to be able to save you money because that's been my track record. The last 4 companies I've been with, I've been able to reduce expenses while increasing revenues by 17% or whatever it was. So also, an easy way to do this is to start with how you're going to benefit. When you're interviewing, always think, how am I going to benefit them? How are they going to envision me in this position? When you walk out the door and the door shuts, you want them to think, I got to hire that person. And they also have to like you. And so I really, and this sounds really, really unimportant, but it's not. People hire who they like. If it comes to two executives, one might be even more skilled, but if somebody was a little more personable and they opened up more, or they smiled more, or they were just warmer. I mean, you also have to realize that an interview is, you've got to take your personality to the interview with you. So you can't go in and do this executive interview, and if you've never been in a job search, it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy to go into an interview. Just go in there and be yourself. Some people just prepare too much and then they go in and they blow it because their personality never showed. But if you just some simple things, like I saved a company, I know I can save you money, and then give them an example. So you're showing them the benefit first. So now again, they're starting to like you more because they see how you can benefit them. And everybody that's in a hiring position, you either make them look good or you make them look bad if they hire you. So they want to look good. They're going to hire the person who they think is going to make them look good. Bottom line.
Okay. I really do want for the audience, on the audience's behalf, to pin down as much as we can this value proposition, because I keep getting these pushes. Well, let's pin this down a bit, Tony. So I'll give an example. I've got a 12-year-old. He's a technologist. He's never held an iPod in his hand. He doesn't know what that is, but he's heard about it on YouTube videos and TikTok. He says, Dad, what is an iPod? I know what my phone does. I said, well, an iPod, a product, is a tiny record player you put in your pocket. That was my description of the iPod to him. That connected with him. It was short, it was descriptive, and it kind of painted a picture of what this thing's value really is. So, well, I don't need it. I've got my iPhone 14 Pro, so I'm good.
Right.
But I'm bringing
Also,
up because I think a lot of us tell ourselves, my description has to be like this, boom, 4 words, I get it, I got it. Is that true?
think about the example I gave earlier with when the guy said to me, this will just take 5 minutes, and he explained to me the scenario. Remember, a company has to prepare for both at the same time. So it didn't take very long at all. Truthfully, in the way I told it, which would have just been fine, was less than 30 seconds. But it described the problem that allowed my brain to make a neurological connection to the solution, to those that had the problem. When it is descriptive enough that I really get that's what the person does, that's the outcome that they create, and it's descriptive enough. It's generic, it's not going to work because I've got thousands of those running in my head. If it's descriptive enough, I can make the connection. So think that's probably a really good example that the perfection that I think our listeners are looking for when it comes to value proposition is really just the ability to take a deep dive into where their intersection of highest and best use, competitive differentiation, and what it is they want to do intersect. And like Barb said, the benefit, speaking to the benefit, that's basically the fact that you don't need to just go on and brag about yourself and tell all the wonderful things you've done, because no one cares. They don't care until they know why. And if the why is, because you're going to help me save money, now I'm interested. So when you put the why up front, why it's important to you, or as Barb said, the benefit, then all of a sudden the backstory is going to seem a lot more interesting.
Right. And Tony, a quick thing could be something as simple as, I've been able to improve the quality of product while reducing costs. I've been able to improve services where we don't get any return. It could be something very quick, very simple, very quick, like a sound bite. Then you can back it into more information. So your value proposition doesn't have to be this long, drawn out cliff notes. Everybody hears in cliff notes. Nobody has attention spans anymore. So the shorter, the more concise, the simpler to understand, what impact are you going to have? You know, what can they expect? And make it very simple so anyone can understand, because I think sometimes we go in there with these convoluted, you know, all this long drawn out thing, and we just confuse ourselves and them. So short, simple, to the point. You know, what impact are you going to have on them? You know, what do you bring into the table that's going to make them want to hire you over somebody else? And it's got to be something that's going to resonate with them. If you tell me, if I'm producing something and you tell, and say that I know, say I'm interviewing with a company and I know that they've had 4 recalls, that their product, they keep getting recalls, then I'm going to talk about that, you know, quality control is an area that I was raised in. Quality control. Yes, I'm in the C-suite now, but I understand that. I know that you've had 4 recalls. And I pride myself on the fact that the last 3 companies I went to had recalls, and they didn't have one after I was their executive. So how do you personalize your value proposition to the company you're also interviewing with? So short, sweet, to the point. You know, what do you bring that nobody else can say? Because everybody thinks they're doing these customized things, and they all sound alike because they're too general. What specifically, when you left, what did people say about you? What were you known for? You know, if you left a job, boy, that person was amazing. We're so sad he's not leading our company because, or we're so sad she left because. What are you known for? You know, that absolutely is probably part of your value proposition. It's what you're known for, the mark you leave.
And let me add one more thing, because I sense the audience saying, well, I can't do that. That's really, really hard. It sounds simple, but it's not easy. And you're right, it's not, but that's what we're here for. You know, that's what we do. There's an art to this, and we don't expect, most of us are unable to see ourselves well enough from the inside to be able to describe what the outside of the jar looks like. So, you know, part of what we do here is help you unravel and put back together and present in this very short, differentiating way what makes you so special, what makes you want to wake up in the morning, what makes your heart sing. Those are not easy things to do on your own. So if you're freaking out in front of your screen, okay, but don't for too long, because you can turn to us and we'll help you with that.
Well, and Tony, you're absolutely right. And those of you that are listening, if you're executives, the best investment you can make in yourself is to work with an organization like ExecuNet, because that's what they do. They teach you how to market yourself. How do you package yourself? Because, you know, and again, I don't believe anybody knows how to interview the way they should anymore, because interviewing has changed dramatically. What worked 6 months ago doesn't work now. So how do you package yourself differently? You know, you could be a very valuable commodity, but if you don't know how to package yourself, put yourself in a gift bag with tissue or a bow on your head, you're not going to seem as valuable, you know. And so what ExecuNet does is they show you how to package yourself. And sometimes you need an outsider. I always have a coach. I always have a mentor. So should all of you. You know, so if you're out there and if this conversation is confusing you, then you need somebody to clarify it. We can't do it in an hour. And so should you at least make a phone call to them? And they didn't ask me to do this. You can't pay me enough to have me recommend somebody that I don't believe in. But there's services that they offer. You know, you got to invest in yourself to learn how to do these things, because I'm telling you, the job market, workplace is changing so fast. What's working today is not going to work in 6 months. And so you got to go to people that are working with it day in, day out, because they know what to tell you. They can advise you on what to do. And often that's the most important first step. Most people make a mistake when they're preparing to start looking at something new. They don't do the foundation right, and then nothing else works.
All right. Thank you.